Ladies and gentlemen, hold your sneeze. We're talking bees. It's Mel and Sully back on the keys. And we are back here with episode 89 of the Something's Bruin podcast.
89.
The Zdeněk Blatný episode. Who could forget Big Z, Zdeněk. 25 games played for the Boston Bruins. Let's see. He played with the Bruins back in 2005, 2006. He had 0 points with the Bruins. All 3 of his points, all goals, by the way, came in Atlanta. I don't know what to do with that intro, but I kind of want to keep it just because it kind of worked. But Mel, holy shit, playoffs are here. We got a tied series 1-1. We split the home aspect, the first 2 games of the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's your beautiful face. And we officially have a series. People are freaking out. We already see discourse over Montgomery's choices with the goaltending, when in all reality, we knew this was probably going to be the case anyways. We saw a rough game 1, and we saw an even rougher game 2. Discourse around the refereeing, the calls that have been made, calls that haven't been made. Pat Maroon versus Ryan Reeves. Every aspect that we can talk about, we'll get to eventually. But I just woke up from a nap. I was about 15 minutes late. We just woke up from a nap. I made myself a nice peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a side of apple juice. So I'm ready to go.
What are you, 5 years old? You in daycare? Peanut butter and jelly with an apple juice?
This is why I didn't want to tell you before we started recording, because I knew you would make fun of me for this.
You're like a little toddler. Is a little Mott's juice box?
Look at, I got, boom.
You toasted the bread and everything.
Peanut butter and jelly and my big glass of apple juice. I'm ready to go.
Oh my God. What kind of, well, first of all, 2 questions. 3 questions. Why did you not cut the crust off?
Because then I'm a sophisticated adult. I eat crust.
The actual answer is because you can't be trusted with a knife. What kind of peanut butter is that?
Just generic Trader Joe's smooth peanut butter. Not chunky.
Are you not a chunky peanut butter fan?
If I had a choice, smooth all day.
Listen,
chunky bothers me, dude. What do I want? When I'm chewing my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, do I want a nice transition from peanut butter to jelly? Or do I want little pebbles sprinkled across my bread? No.
I'm gonna stop you right there because you are so full of shit and you clearly don't know what you're talking about. My entire life, I've been a skippy, smooth peanut butter guy.
Ooh.
You take your the only peanut butter I won't eat, by the way, like for people who don't know me, I like peanut butter is my thing. You thought that I was insufferable on Twitter with my pumpkin beer and my sushi. I haven't even scratched the surface of how much I love peanut butter. I'll eat it right out of the tub. I love Reese's. I love those little Buckeye things that you make, with the chocolate and peanut butter cookies, peanut butter ice cream, peanut butter is good. Anything peanut butter, I love. The only peanut butter that I probably wouldn't eat is the peanut butter that like the organic shit that comes like that big thick layer of oil. I'm not eating that crap. Like, give me the fake shit. Like, I'm fine eating chemicals. I don't plan on being around here very long anyways. Like, I'll take this Skippy peanut butter. That's fine with me. If it's peanut butter that kills me, so be it. That's how I want to go out. And I was always the smooth peanut butter fan. I wouldn't touch the chunky peanut butter. And then I tried it once because it was the only peanut butter I had. Dude, I was missing out. And I'm pissed off at my chunky peanut butter friends for not getting me on the wave earlier. And that's what I'm trying to do with you right now. You got to try it. Like when you eat a sandwich, you have a sandwich and a bag of chips, right? And when you get, the first thing most people do, maybe you take a couple chips, put it in the sandwich, right? Game changer. That's legit. You put, and I think I've discovered it's so good. That looks like a gallon of piss. What the hell was that? Was that apple juice?
That's my apple juice.
Oh my God!
It comes in the same. It comes in the same jug as like that Fabuloso floor cleaner stuff.
Why is it so warm and frothy?
It's not. I promise. It's not my piss.
What I was gonna say though was that
sorry.
when you put chips on a sandwich, I discovered it's not the flavor that is so enticing. It's the crunch. It's the crunchy element of putting something like that in your sandwich that just brings it up a level. Put your hand down. And when you put chunky peanut butter in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it still tastes just like a normal peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it has that crunch factor. It makes your brain think like, I'm not just eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There's also this crunch factor as well. And it brings it up to another level. Now, you did have your hand up, so now I will call on you for your question.
So the thing about the crunch factor, Mel, that's why I toast the bread so I can get that crunch. I don't know, dude. I don't want crunchy peanuts in my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. No.
Why?
Because the texture of it just takes away from the genuine taste and the genuine fabulosity of a peanut butter and jelly. It doesn't go down as smooth.
I remember when I was a lost soul.
Although I don't know if you necessarily want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich going down smooth. I don't know if that's the right terminology.
Warm toasted bread with crunchy peanut butter, when it kind of like makes the peanut butter a little oozy with jelly, you raised your hand again.
Thank you for calling on me. I will say, if I didn't have jelly, I would be okay with just a crunchy peanut butter sandwich. That I'm okay with.
What are we doing? What kind of jelly do you use?
I don't know. Schmuckers?
What did you just call it?
Is that not what it's called?
Schmuckers?
Schmuckers.
Why are you throwing an H in there?
Do you want me to hang on a second? Continue to talk about your sandwich. I'll be right back so I can show you.
Oh my god, no, there's only one jelly that you should be using in any peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That is the grape Smucker's jelly that specifically comes out of the purple squeeze bottle.
Right here. I got it right here. Listen, hear me out.
Now hang on. No, hang on. Look at the bottle and read the name again.
Smuckers.
There you go.
But listen, I've always said Schmuckers. Listen, for everybody listening right now, I promise you I will put this on YouTube tonight, ready for tomorrow, so you can watch this whole ordeal and see my industrial sized bottle of apple juice that I have sitting next to me. But regardless of that, we can debate on crunchy peanut butter, smooth peanut butter, Schmuckers versus Smuckers all day. We could do it all day, dude. But we got some business to attend to, and that business is the Boston Bruins. Listen, how are you feeling? 2 games in, obviously the first game, 5-1 resounding victory by Boston. Jeremy Swayman makes 35 saves out of 36. He improves to 4-0 against Toronto, a .962 save percentage, and a .125 goals against average. JD had a 3-point night. McAvoy 2 assists. Carlo with a goal. Beecher's best game ever as a professional player. And Trent Frederick with a goal as well. That game was amazing. Did you have any takeaways from that game other than, Swayman's a goddamn boss, Jake DeBrusk is a leaf killer, and apparently Brandon Carlo has an absolute howitzer from the point that he's breaking out of nowhere?
My main takeaway after game 1 was that it was going to be a sweep, jokingly. But no, I mean, I don't think that there was a better way you could have possibly started a playoff series in a 5-1 beatdown of the Maple Leafs. And like you were saying, even I know that the Bruins obviously ran away with a score 5-1, but I feel like it didn't necessarily feel like a true domination. Like, it didn't feel like the Bruins dominated that game for 60 minutes. They were definitely the better team, and they definitely outplayed Toronto. But like you said, like your performance from John Beecher, like all of these guys, even game 2, but Johnny Beecher was flying all over the ice. Of course, got the game started with a goal into the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of the game. Boqvist, game 2, was humming all over the ice, all over the place. But the story for me was Jeremy Swayman. I mean, the way that he played, he was standing on his head, making some incredible saves. And obviously that was the biggest talking point going into game 1, was not just who was going to be the starter, but what's it going to look like, moving forward throughout the rest of the series. Are they going to alternate goalies? Is one guy going to go 2 games? Or are they going to just ride the hot hand? And I think the majority of people going into game 1 probably thought that Linus Ullmark was going to get the start, just because of the way that his second half was. And I am so happy. Obviously, they won 5-1, but I'm so happy that they turned to Swayman. And I was honestly happy as well because I know the two of them, their playoff sample size isn't huge. And again, I know it's
Mhm.
only game 2 and they've only each started one game in this series, but like Jeremy Swayman really didn't have a lot of playoff starts under his belt, and he hasn't been terrible, but it was like, oh man, like here we are, game 1, stakes are high. Maple Leafs are coming into the Garden. I mean, you can't lose game 1. That is disastrous if you, as the home team, you lose game 1. And I mean, they dominated. And it all started from Jeremy Swayman between the pipes shutting the
Pipes.
door. So that was my main takeaway. Was after that game, I thought, oh my God, there is no stopping this team. Why aren't they showing the fans in Tampa? Tampa. Why aren't they showing the fans in Toronto standing outside their arena like they always? As soon as the Bruins started to dominate, they just stopped showing them, and that
Yeah.
pissed me off.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that it was a great game. It was a great way to start the series and put a little fear of God into the hearts of Toronto Maple Leafs fans.
Yeah, 103 total hits combined in this game. Bruins excellent at the dot, 57.4% to Toronto's 42.6%. Bruins 2 for 5 on the power play. Bruins penalty kill was perfect. A perfect 3 for 3 on the PK.
The big rig too. The big rig throwing what's his name over the boards there. He was getting involved.
Who did he hit? Was that I forget who he hit, but yeah, no, Big Rig made a big impact on that game. Like you said, that first goal from Johnny Beecher, 2.5 minutes in, assisted by Boqvist and Maroon. That pass from Boqvist was absolutely beautiful. And shout out to the Garden too. Garden was rocking. The USA chants pissed some people off. Actually, let's talk. Do you have an opinion on that? Like, first of all, I want to just, what's your opinion on the Team USA chants? Or Team USA, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that the outrage is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's not
Stupid.
rocket science. Like it's not like we're like picking sides in a war. Like it's Toronto, the de facto capital of Canada. I know it's not, but it's Canada's biggest city. Like when you poll 100 Americans, they say, "Give me a city in Canada." 95 of them are saying Toronto. And here you have Boston, like the birthplace of the country. Like it's one of the most like the fabric of the country has Boston woven through it. Like it's as easy as that. You have this big Toronto team coming down playing Boston, so they just chant USA because they know that there's millions of fans in Toronto watching this broadcast, and they have to listen to the fans chant USA, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's I don't know, it's simple as that. And like people were getting upset, saying like, oh, first of all, they were saying, oh, Bruins, they don't even realize they're 70% Canadian. They're not. I think they're like 20% Canadian. They have a lot of like Czech people from Europe. The majority of this team is from Europe. They're not a primarily Canadian team. And I guarantee you, Brad Marchand, captain of the Bruins, Canadian through and through. He's probably spent more of his life now living in Boston than he has in Canada. Well, probably not, but he spent a majority of his adult life living in Boston now. I'm sure he loved it. That's all it is. It was such a and if the Bruins go to Toronto, well, they are going to Toronto, and the Toronto fans start chanting Canada, I love it. Like it's not a big deal. I don't understand why people were getting so up in arms about the whole USA Canada thing.
Like, why are people taking it so personal? It's not personal. It's fun. It's literally just a fun aspect of being a fan and creating a fun, rowdy environment. Like, and the other thing too, Boston, United States, Toronto, Canada. It's not like
there you go.
Yeah, it's really, listen, I know that we're a hockey pod, but we're like also kind of like geography substitute teachers. All right. We can tell you guys
I have a map right above my head.
Do you?
I actually do. Yeah, I at it for Christmas.
Nice.
I love maps.
The maps are great, dude.
They're amazing.
Maps are just so cool.
But that's why, like, I saw like
Northern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere. Sorry,
Southern Hemisphere, Eastern
Hemisphere, the equator.
That's the
Meridian line,
the South Pole,
longitude, latitude,
El Nino, right?
El Nino.
I don't know. I was gonna say I saw like a lot of the people who were getting the most upset on Twitter are Americans. Like I didn't see any Canadians getting all up in arms saying why are they chanting that. Like as I don't know, like as a competitor, as a hockey fan, like I would kind of think that you would love that shit, especially now.
Yeah,
Like the rivalry between Canada and the USA. I mean, it's always been there. Like
right.
in hockey, like American professional teams, Canadian professional teams, the world like the World Juniors, Team USA just won gold for the first time in quite a while. It's Canada's always been good. We have players going to the Olympics pretty soon. Like Canada and the USA are eternal rivals in
Yep.
hockey, but there's also like an immense respect between the two countries. So for the fact that anybody could just watch one of the biggest rivalries in sports, one of the biggest American professional sports teams play arguably the biggest Canadian professional sports team in a playoff battle for like the fifth time in the last 10 years. Why are you surprised that a USA and Canada champ broke out? Like, get over yourself. It's not a big deal. Oh my God, after a 5-1 win, that was the last thing I thought I would see on Twitter was people getting upset that there was a USA and Canada chant breaking out.
Yeah, and if it was honestly like a large majority of Canadian fans who were voicing their concerns over that, then that's a different story. But the only people I saw complaining about it were Bruins fans, and it was like, okay, like let's worry about the actual things that matter. Like I don't know, Andrew Peak being week to week, Justin Brazeau still not skating.
Yeah.
Who's gonna start game two now? Who's gonna start game three? Things like that's just a stupid little like thing that nobody should honestly be getting mad about.
Yeah, and you know what? While we were still on game one, you know what I did like was the physicality. I know you mentioned it. There
Mhm.
was 103 combined hits, 52 for Toronto and 51 for Boston. And if Toronto wants to keep playing that game, have at it. I love it. I've
Yep.
never seen a team full of more fake tough guys. Max Domi was doing his best job. He was trying as hard as possible to lose that game for Toronto. I mean, the guy was taking penalties left and right, taking cheap shots. I think he had like 2 or 3 penalties, and they were stupid ass penalties too. And
Yep.
and I love it. And even that Steve Dangle guy on Twitter, I think he was the one who said afterwards, like, this is stupid. Like, Toronto can't compete with Boston in a game of physicality because that's Boston's game. And you could tell it seemed like that was an area of focus for Toronto because they were finishing all their checks. They were, a guy like Pasta makes a pass at the blue line. They were making sure there was a guy on him, rubbing him out on the board or something like that. And it was just all about being physical. And if you want to do that with the Bruins, that's fine. Like that's always been the Bruins. It doesn't matter who's on the roster. That's part of the Bruins culture is a tough-nosed physical hockey. And that's just not Toronto. So it felt like game one. I mean, 52 hits. It felt like that was just not their game. And they were
Yep.
maybe trying to change things up to play against Boston because they have played the Bruins now in the first round like 4 times in the last 6 or 7 seasons, some shit like that, and they've lost every single time. So might as well change something up. They tried it and they got thumped 5-1. So if they want to play that game, that's the Bruins style of hockey. They can have at it because we're going to see more of what happened in game 1. But obviously they didn't take that mentality in game 2 and we had a bit of a different output.
Yeah, game two had a combined 97 hits, 45 for Toronto, 52 for Boston. The difference being that Toronto capitalized on a power play. They were 1 for 3. Bruins were 1 for 2 on the power play. But that game too was a much more tighter game. It was much more tight checking. I feel like Toronto did a better job trapping the Bruins in the neutral zone, not letting them getting clean. Obviously the final goal the Bruins scored, I believe it was the final goal, right? It was the Pastrnak one-timer on that feed from Zacha. Just a
That was
beautiful play.
unreal.
Unreal play. And mind you, that was with less than 10 seconds to go in the period too, coming into the second.
Laura must have been going crazy when that happened.
She must have been going nuts. But it felt in the Garden, it felt like a big momentum shift. Obviously, Samsonov takes that puck off the head from Charlie Coyle, and being at the game, I don't think any of the fans realized what happened in the moment because there was no replay showed on the jumbotron. And it just from the stands, it looked like he just kind of took his helmet off. You didn't even see the shot come in and hit him in the head. So the fans were all over him. Bullshit chants, a lot of boos raining down. But it doesn't matter because the Bruins capitalized right after, and it was at that Pastrnak one-timer. But then after that, it was a lot of Toronto chances. Obviously, Austin Matthews gets that pass from, I believe it was Max Domi, who threw it over McAvoy's head. And Matthews gets the breakaway, 7 minutes to go, puts it past Allmark, and that's the game wrapped up 1-1. But what did you think of Allmark? Obviously, coming into that game, it was a big debate. The starting goalie had two vowels in his first name, two vowels in his last name. A lot of debate on Twitter on who that was going to be. And it ended up being Omar, and he made 31 saves on 34 shots. Before I say anything, what did you think about Omar? And what did you think about the decision?
I mean, the decision itself, I don't know. I mean, hindsight's 2020, and I'm always so conflicted. And like last year, I was all aboard picking your guy and just staying with the hot hand. And they did that with Olmark, and given he was hurt, but what happened last year. So I thought this year I was thinking on the mindset of it doesn't matter what happens, just go 1A, 1B. Like it doesn't matter. Like it worked all season. Do it in the playoffs. You didn't do it last year and you lost. And there were other factors why the Bruins lost last year, but their play from Linus Olmark in the playoffs last year didn't help. And I was having that mentality this year of going 1A, 1B. And then I saw Jeremy Swayman play game one. And I was like, oh, man. Like, I'm glad it wasn't my decision because I think I probably would have stuck with Swayman. But, I mean, there's no right answer because, like, if Swayman did what he did and then game two, Swayman lays a stinker, people are going, oh, you should have done 1A, 1B. You did it all year and it worked. And if they go with Omar, and if the Bruins win 3-1 or he gets a shutout, what do you do game three? Do you go back to Swayman? So I don't know. I think it's a tough choice, but I probably would have went with Swayman again, knowing what I know now. But that's the beauty of having two elite goalies is, I mean, you should hypothetically be able to plug any of those guys in there and you have a chance to win. And it really doesn't matter who they play. They're going to have the best goal in any given night because Samsonov sucks. Like he's not a very good goalie. But I thought that he genuinely played well in game two. I think that
made a couple of big saves.
He made some huge saves.
Yeah.
And I saw some outcry on Twitter again, people saying, oh, they should have went with Swayman. Man, like that Austin Matthews goal, there was nothing he could have done. That's a 69 goal scorer getting behind the defense on a breakaway. Like, good luck. Jesus Christ. Doesn't matter who you're going to put in the net. They're going to have a hard time stopping that. So I think that the Bruins were lucky that they had Olmark in net that night because some of those saves he was making was incredible. I don't remember who it was, but there was that one-timer right on the back door where he kicked his – well, there was that one. And then there was one when he kicked his leg out and, like, shot it up into the – I mean, some of the saves he was making were just incredible. Yes. I think it was the second goal that Toronto scored. That was the power play goal, right?
That was Tavares' slap shot from like the slot.
Yeah. And I know Razor was saying how, you don't want to like throw guys under the bus or anything, but I think it was Shattenkirk. Might have been Shattenkirk. I don't remember. They should have slid and blocked the shot, and they didn't because they took the man instead, and it gave him a shooting lane. So there's just stuff like that. So not all those goals you can really blame on Omar, but I thought he played as well as you could expect him to play. I mean, I know we are talking about Swayman. You don't know what to get from him. And Linus Olmark's playoff numbers, I've talked about it ad nauseum on the show, are terrible. They are horrible. He had, I believe, a sub 900 save percentage in his playoff career before entering the game on Monday. And I mean, playing against a high-powered offense like Toronto in the playoffs, he did everything you could have asked for him. And that's why it was a little frustrating to see some of the reaction on Twitter. But I mean, like you said, like the biggest concern for me right now isn't goalie related. It's these injuries. Damn it, Pete going down sucks. It sucks so much.
Yeah, Pete going down is not good. And just kind of touch on the goalie thing too. I had it in the I had it in the drafts. I didn't want to tweet it because I didn't want to jinx anything or get yelled at on Twitter for talking too soon. But I was going to say before the start of game two that Montgomery's decision, no matter what he does, it's kind of a lose-lose. If the Bruins lose and they ended up losing, the thing being, say he started Swayman and they lose, then 50% of the 50% of fans on Twitter, on the media, whatever, are going to be saying, see, should have stuck with the tandem. This is what you get for going away from the system and going with Swayman back to back. And if he went Olmark and he lost, and like we're saying right now, then he was going to get from 50% of the fan base. Should have gone Swayman. Swayman's the hot goalie. He's undefeated against Toronto. You're overthinking it. So it was really a lose-lose. Unless the Bruins won, he wasn't going to get any slack from them. And Olmark played about as well as he could have. Like you said, that kick save, that flop save that they had to review
The
for
one
some
that he
reason.
caught like inside the net and like dove out. I mean that
Yes.
he had like plenty of highlight reel saves. It was just, and I feel like that's always, I don't know what it is. Honestly, I always say I blame the sports hub, but like the way that like Bruins fans assess goalies is like so ass backwards. I don't get it. Like the team
Yeah.
does well, like they win games, and oh no, it's, the Bruins have a great defense. I mean, put Swayman and Omar in any other team, they're not going to have the success they have here. The Bruins lose, and it's all their fault. It like I don't understand it. And like for Omar and Swayman, I mean, these guys have been lights out all year. I mean, here we are in the playoffs. Swayman stood in his head in game one. Omar did everything he possibly could to help the Bruins win that game. They lose, and people are blaming it on Omar. I mean, if they switch positions and Samsonov is in net for the Bruins, they lose 7-1. Like some of
Yeah.
those saves are saves that only a guy the size of Linus Omar can make. So I'm with you. It was very frustrating, but the biggest thing for me, game two wise, was face-offs. Bruins were getting killed on face-offs all over the
Yeah.
ice. I think game one, I think the Bruins had the advantage at 57% in the face-off
Yep.
dot. Game
Yep.
two, they were down to 45%. I think Coyle was like he had like 3 face-off wins, 9 losses. I think Zaka might have been the only guy who was above 50%. Shout out
Shout
Laura.
out.
But I mean, it was brutal, and they even mentioned it during the broadcast too. Like it's hard to kind of sustain any sort of pressure when you're struggling to win offensive faceoffs, and you always start a defense for the most of the time. You start defending in your defensive zone off a faceoff because you just can't win a draw. And
Yep.
I mean, that also kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about with the goalies. Like Linus Omark, the guy's standing on his head. He gets a whistle. He's got to go right back at it because you can't get the puck out of the zone. And they were icing the puck like crazy, too. I mean, there was a ton of little
Crazy.
mistakes they were making all over the ice in game two, which was why it was kind of crazy to see that play right after the 5-1 thumping of game one.
Yeah, another thing, I'm kind of just going through my Twitter right now. It's basically my notes app about the game is my Twitter. But I got too many men for the Bruins. Bad bench minors should always be avoidable. They got 2 of them. That was the first one. You can't be getting any. You can't get 1 too many men on the ice, let alone 2. That's in a playoff game at home. That's terrible. There was another thing I wanted to say as well, and I wanted to touch on. Oh yes, you were talking about the icings. Bruins pull the net, and Allmark is about halfway to the bench, and Lindholm just ices the puck. That immediately kills any momentum you had. You had that power play at the end of the game, and it was potentially the worst power play I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't even think they had a shot. And it was kind of at that point where the feeling of kind of like this might not happen. It just kind of like
Yeah.
set in, like this might just be the reality. 1-1 heading to Toronto. Do you go Swayman game 3? You have to, right?
Yeah,
You have to.
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, if you don't go swim in game 3, then what was the point of going Omar game 2? Like it
Right,
just,
right.
I think you have to go swim in game 3. And the power play situation too. I mean, it almost feels like at times they're a one-trick pony, and all they're
Mhm.
trying to do, I mean, they will sling the puck around the ice. It doesn't matter how many times as long as it ends with pasta. Like he's taking the shot, they'll pass up an opportunity to swing it back around his side to set him up for a one-timer. And I get it. The guy had 60 goals a year ago. I think he had 47 or 48 this year. Like he's the guy. But like how many times have the Bruins has their power play been stagnant this year? And it felt like at times, especially at the end of the game, they pull their goalie and they're just force feeding Pasta. Like they killed like 10 seconds. There was a minute left in the game, and they killed 10 seconds because he got a one timer he didn't like. They had to send it back up to the D man, who then sent it down, and then he took a one timer with his ass cheeks on the boards. That's not going in. Like it, I understand. Like just rip the puck, and there were a lot of times he was like, thank God he was firing from where he was. But I don't know. It just felt a little frustrating. Like they're just, it seems like their offense, especially their power play, can just kind of get so caught up on making sure Pasta is the guy who's taking the shot that you have 30, 40 seconds go by and it's just passing. And like you're screaming at your TV to shoot the damn puck because they're trying to get the perfect shot. And a guy like Samsonov in net, oh my God, put me out there and let, like, whenever they dump the puck in, dump it in on net because it has a chance with him between the pipes. So
Yeah.
that was something that was a little frustrating for me, especially watching how that game ended, knowing that they had a chance. They had that scrum around the net that I'm a little upset that they blew the whistle on because Samsonov had no idea where that puck was.
No idea. No
None
idea.
at all. He wasn't. He was literally looking at the ref like, "Please call something." Like he.
Please blow
I
the
don't know. I
whistle.
don't know why I made him Italian there, but
Please,
but,
please blow the whistle. Right? I got to find the puck.
please a soda. But it's
Soda.
it's the need for them to, it seems like, always find the perfect shot on the power play that's really frustrating for me.
Yeah, they do always try to feed pasta. And that's what a lot of people behind me were saying too. It's like, why are they just always force feeding him the puck? And it's true. Like literally just throw it on net. We got a Italian in net who doesn't know how to skate. Like just,
Yeah.
just throw
I
anything at
don't
him.
I don't remember what the number was, but during the game, they actually mentioned that Pasta didn't have a power play goal in like 30 games or 30 power play or something ridiculous. It probably wasn't 30 games. It was like the last 30 power plays, Pasta didn't have a goal or some shit like that. I don't remember what the number was, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure like constantly force feeding him doesn't help. And like, I'm not saying that like I don't want Pasta shooting. Oh my god, like if
Right.
I want anybody in the Bruins ripping shots to the net, it's David Pastrnak. I'm just saying that their power play has often sputtered at times, and when it's like the final minute and a half of the game, you pull your goalie, and all you're doing is eating time, trying to force feed Pasta one timers. It stagnates everything.
That's crazy, Mel. I just found it. Um, his last power play goal came on March 7th of this year against Toronto.
That's a month and a half ago.
Yep.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
yeah.
Maybe you're
And
right. Maybe there is something to that. Like maybe they're just like give him a break. Like don't force him the
yeah.
puck every single time. Do something different.
Yeah, and like the hardest part too of like being trying to defend on a penalty kill, other than being a man down, is when you have all these guys moving around. You don't know who's taking the shot. Like you pass the puck around, you open up passing lanes. You know they're going heavy on one side, so guys start puck watching, and somebody opens on the back door. But if you know every single time the puck is going to Samsonov's right side, and they're looking to feed pasta the one timer, it makes it so easy to defend. And I don't know. I just wished he would swing the puck. Like obviously, it hurts not having Bergeron anymore because I don't have him as that
Mhm.
bumper guy, and he was so deadly there when he would just kind of sit at that kind of high slot right above the hash marks and just rip those one timers. And it just seems like they lost Bergeron, and their whole philosophy just kind of changed to just feed pasta. That's all we're gonna do, and
Yeah.
it hasn't been working. So, clearly, he hasn't scored a power play goal in a month and a half.
Yeah. I think they need to change something up. But either way, headed back to Toronto, 1-1. Big game three coming up. But Mel, do you want to dive into that big old mailbag of yours?
Yeah. Let's start off. Okay, so I posed the question on Twitter. I said, "Listen, Mel's mailbag. Shoot me. Hang on, I'm trying to find the tweet. Mel's mail. I said we're recording day. Shoot me a. Gee, I can't
You can't
multitask. I'm
even
sorry.
you can't
I'm
speak
trying to
right now.
find the tweet and
You're
I'm
speaking
talking
in
at the same time.
italics.
Okay, hang on. Let me just shut up before I found it. I said recording night for the show. Slide into Mel's mailbag and give me your best riddle. And people answered the call. And,
Yeah.
and I got some really good riddles.
All right.
So we're gonna start off with one of them.
Okay.
And Pat, if you're
Shut up,
listening,
Pat.
you told me 7 hours ago that you would send me the answer to this riddle, and you still haven't. So I'm gonna read your riddle. But actually, I guess we'll try to answer, but we won't take forever because I don't have the answer. So Pat said at Poolside Pat One, host of the Primetime Parlay. You can follow them on Twitter at PTP Bets. They go live every single day. The only 7-day a week gambling live show. Check them out. They went live today already. They'll be live tomorrow around 6. Pat said, "What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years?" And then he said, "How many can I submit?"
A Justin Brazeau playoff goal. What was the
What
question?
a terrible guess that was.
I
Obviously,
know.
that's not the answer.
What was the question?
What occur- what occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years?
I don't know.
What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment?
Somebody listening to this has the answer like right away.
It's probably Pat, and I'm waiting for him to send me the answer. Okay, well, what are things that happen once in a minute? A minute?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. So I just wanted to read that. It's something for people to think about.
We'll say the answer if Pat ever answers you, or it'll be
Yeah,
just
if he ever answers me. I also asked for a riddle, and Tommy gave me a poem. He said,
okay.
"Roses are red, violets are blue. F the Leafs, dude." A poem by Tommy Stats. So, I mean, didn't answer the question, but it was.
I
It was
thought that
still
was gonna
like,
be. Wait, roses are red, violets are blue. F the Maple Leafs and Austin Matthews too. Fuck you, Maple
there you
Leafs.
go.
Yeah.
Maybe he was going for a haiku, but okay, let's
Maybe.
get into a real riddle here. This riddle
Okay.
was from my good friend of the show, Ethan Moriarty. You can follow Ethan on Twitter at eMoriartyWX. Posts some incredible photography and severe weather content if you're into that. He said, "What belongs to you but is used by everyone you meet?"
What belongs to me and used by everybody I meet?
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like
do you have an? I don't have no idea.
listen, I want to be fair. I think I've heard this riddle before. And I believe the answer is something like trust or something like that. Belongs to you,
Oh,
but it's used by everyone you meet. I don't know. Do you have any guesses? I have the answer.
you have the answer.
Yes.
What is? What is? What is? Can you read me the question?
Oh, okay. What belongs to you, but is used by everyone you meet?
Mm, my name.
Did you just Google it?
No.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
the
am I
answer.
right? Am I
My name.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a good one.
Yo.
That was a good one. All right.
All right.
I have another riddle, but before that, let's get to our friend from across the pond,
Hell yeah.
Jack.
Jackie.
You can follow Jack on Twitter at AJackB_. Jack said, "Hey team, excited to
Yeah.
see Lori called up for game 3 to turn the
Mm.
Leafs to mulch. My
Mm.
stomach briefly flat on my arse when I saw Forbert was training in a regular shirt again, as him getting healthy again just as the series is perfectly balanced is such a Forbert thing to do. Allmark played game 2 with what appeared to be a 2023 playoff performance chip on his shoulder, and I am here for it. You go out there in full redemption mode, Oli. Become the legend you were born to be.
Oh
Short
yeah.
one this week, boys, as I can't give it a large with the series tied. To calm myself down, I've been watching Celtics highlights because that's an easy, stress-free environment. Question this week: who do you reckon is going to be the surprise playoff performer for the Bees this series? I'm going for DeBrusque. He considered streaking for us in game 1, then couldn't back it up in game 2. Here's to hoping he goes the full streak Brusque this week. Cheers.
That's a good pick.
I have my answer.
Do you want to say yours? I'll think of mine. I gotta
I
brainstorm a little
am
bit.
the surprise playoff performer. He's already arrived. He surprised me in game 1. He dominated the faceoff dot in game 2 in a game that the Bruins struggled mightily. That is the Johnny Beecher. He's
Okay.
putting Toronto Maple Leafs fans in a blender. That Steve Dangles guy, did you hear him talking shit about our beloved Johnny Beecher?
He was, yeah. How do you not know who the greatest up and coming prospect in hockey, Johnny Beecher, is? How do you not know?
It drives me crazy.
Does
I
he
mean,
not know beach
how do
season?
you not know the guy
Whoa.
the guy who was supposed to be the next Bergeron? That's what they said when he was drafted. He's also great in TikToks. He's really good at like lip syncing and like pretending to sing to songs.
I understand, like you can look up goals, you can look up assists, you can look up time on ice, but if you can look up his TTO, his triple T. If you look up his triple T stat, are you familiar with that stat?
No.
His TikTok time. his
Oh
TikTok
my
time on the
God.
Bruins. He might be leading. He might be leading the league in triple T's, dude.
I was thinking you were pulling out like an actual analytic. I was about to get educated. This dude comes out with TikTok time. His
Yeah,
average TikTok time.
his TTT, his TikTok time on Bruin social media is top 10. It might be honestly probably number one in the league, and number two in the league's TTT triple T is probably Mason Lohrei. I mean, these two young bucks, talk about their goals, their offensive creativity, their maturity for such a young age. All of that's great and all, but their triple T is through the
Yeah.
roof.
It
It's through the
really
roof.
is. And if they really wanted to hammer it out and be the most dominant TTT team in the league, they would get Seth Jarvis from Carolina because that guy
Yeah,
is also he's a hoot. He's
he
pretty
is. I
funny.
love
Some of
him.
the
I love
some of the shit that he
him.
says. But all joking aside, Johnny Beecher's been incredible so far this
Yeah.
series.
Yep.
I mean, he was one of those guys. Boakfist has been really good too, but he's Johnny Beecher specifically. He's been wheeling all over the ice. There's been specific shifts that I can remember him just dominating. Like that's your fourth line center, winning puck battles, keeping the puck in at the blue line. We already mentioned dominating in the faceoff dot, getting the game started, game one, scoring that goal 2 minutes in. I mean, he's
Yep.
done everything, and especially with fourth lines, like sometimes you just don't want them to bite you in the foot. In the Bruins' fourth line, this whole season has been such a weapon for them, and especially in the playoffs, it's all started with Johnny Beecher. So he's been the surprise playoff performer for me so far, and I'm really hoping that his strong play continues because they're going to need four lines deep against the Maple Leafs to win this series. And like we said, that fourth line, it starts and it ends with him.
Yep. And thank God that I went to the game two, because I made a stupid, dumb promise on Twitter that I would shotgun a beer for every Bruins goal. And game two came along, and I was still kind of reeling from game one. I did not feel good at all. Um, and Jack mentioned Jake DeBrusk being his number one, right? Or his surprise player.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna pull this up since we'll put this video on YouTube. I'm going to pull up this video. By the time I posted this, I was already kind of hammered. But it was the Jake DeBrusk second goal. And I posted this on Twitter. And like I said, stupid decision on my part to make that promise, because now I have to maintain that promise. But here is the video if you're
Oh, I
watching
know this
YouTube
is.
and you missed it. Is it showing?
Yep.
Jason Bones is trying to kill me. The Bruins are trying to kill me. It's 4-0. It's not even the third period yet. Toronto fans, we want Boston. You got us. Let's go. Oh.
Dude, that jacket
All
is so
right.
clean.
So, yeah, I'm hoping for more of that, but my body is telling me no. But um, my surprise performer is probably Pat Maroon. You've already seen him jump in on that fourth line. He fits in flawlessly. He's throwing his weight around. He's challenging Ryan Reeves. He already has an assist. He assisted on Beecher's opening goal. And you could argue that fourth line, air quotes fourth line, has been the Bruins' best line the first two games of this series. So I'm going to say Pat Maroon. He's bound to get his first goal soon.
You know what I've liked from Pat Maroon too is he knows who he is on the ice. Like he's not trying to do the flashy thing because he knows it's not his game. He's not gonna beat anybody with his speed. He knows his role and he does it well. Like there's times I can remember in both game one and game two when he was the first guy into the boards, but he knew he was gonna have a hard time beating this other guy to the puck. So he would just kind of like get in his way and move him out of the way. And I remember there was a time in game two where he got behind the defense and he knows that he just turned happy birthday, by the way, Pat Maroon. He just turned 30. I believe he turned
Happy birthday.
37 today, 37 or 36, whatever it is. And he knew that these guys are going to catch him. So he did what he does best. And he just gave the puck up to a streak in Bruins. Like he's just making heady plays. And especially like we were just talking at like fourth line players, just don't screw yourself. Don't screw your team. Don't make the pass that you think you might not be able to make. Don't take risks. Just play your game. And nobody has been doing that better than Pat Maroon. He knows his purpose, and he's been doing it to a T. The best thing I've seen from Pat Maroon so far was game 2 when he was patrolling the red line, him and Ryan Reeves, and he wasn't letting Reeves kind of get on the Bruins side. Did you see that whole thing? And Pat Maroon was like skating around at center ice, and he got right in Reeves' way. I love it. I love the head games. And I know that the broadcast was saying as well that Pat Maroon has been, very vocal in the locker room, and it really helps having a guy with 3 cups on your roster. So love what I'm seeing from everybody on that fourth line. Pat Maroon's a good pick.
Yeah, Pat Maroon has been one of my favorite players to watch, honestly, in the beginning of this run for the Bruins. But again, Pat Maroon, we just want to wish you a happy birthday. So, Patty. Pat Maroon. I mean, what a player. What a great guy. Fitting into the system flawlessly. I mean, what more can you say about this guy, huh?
Former 27 goal scorer.
27 goal scorer, 3-time Stanley Cup champion. He's a Boston Bruin.
The big rig.
Listen, we love him. We love him very much. Pat Maroon, happy birthday, bud.
Love you, Pat. Happy to have
love
you.
you, Patty. Happy to have you, dude. But do you have another mailbag?
I do. I have one.
This is a dangerous game now that I know how to share my screen like that.
I have 2 riddles for you. Actually, they're not riddles. They're poems.
The Riddler.
Or maybe they are riddles. I don't know. Let me read them. But it's from Frederick for MVP. You can follow Frederick for MVP on Twitter at Frederick_MVP. They said,
hang on. Do you know if it's for sure a riddle?
Yeah, it's a riddle. And I think they might have came up with these on their own, which is really impressive.
Okay.
But they said, what?
No.
Yeah, hey, why don't you cut me off again?
I'm sorry.
They said, I dance on ice where blades are seen. In black and gold, I'm often keen. I chase a puck across the line. My dens roar almost divine.
That's the riddle?
That's the riddle. Oh, wait, unless it's let me read the second part. It might all be one together. God, dude, we are so stupid. Oh my god. Holy shit, wait. Wait, can you pause the song for a second? I need to read this. No. He said, I'll restart. I dance on ice where blades are seen. In black and gold, I'm often keen. I chase a puck across the line. My dens roar almost divine. With bear-like strength, my crew does fight, chasing glory every night. East Coast home, I proudly claim a storied past, a well-known game.
Oh.
I would like to take the Boston Bruins, please.
I would also like to take the Boston Bruins. I feel like that's a good pick.
Well, they didn't say the answer. But I feel like this is a safe bet. Unless it's the Providence Bruins.
It's the Maine Mariners.
Oh my god.
All right, well,
the
listen.
Boston Bruins, the Providence Bruins, I think.
If you guys sent us riddles, I mean, guys, you gotta send us the answers too.
I mean, thank you, Ethan, for being the only person for actually listening to me. But I said send me riddles. I got poems. I got riddles with no answers. What are we doing here, guys?
What are we doing here? This is just chaotic. The riddle segment. So send us the answers if you sent them in, and if you listen to the episode and you think you have the guess, send it to us. Put it on Twitter, tag us or tag the show, and just send us your answer. But was that it for your mailbag?
Yes, it was.
All right. Mel. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Are we still recording? Yeah, we are. Let me do something really quick. Okay. So, give me 1 second. I have to pull up the questions, but we are about to jump in to Twitter, into the Twitter questions.
Into the
And I'm telling you, this is a dangerous game now that I know how to use these things. So,
oh, whoa! What are we doing here? Oh my god!
is there no sound? Is the sound not coming through?
No, I can hear it. I can hear it.
You sure?
Wait, can I ask you a question?
I'm gonna delete this part. If you're watching the video, I'm not even able
No.
to cut this, but you can see it.
Why in your history did you watch an hour and 5-minute video of medieval Eminem?
Hang on. It is the Twitter DM segment. All right.
Oh my
This is what you get when I wake up 10 minutes after a nap and I jump onto the live recording. And the medieval Eminem thing, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so we're going to jump into these questions here that you guys, the Something's Bruin faithful, sent into the Twitter atmosphere. I'm going to jump into them right now. Let's see. This first question comes in from our guy, Paco Yacht. Give him a follow on Twitter, at Paco Yacht. He said, what changes do you think Monty will make to the lines, and what are the chances we see Brazo return in Toronto? Do you want to go first? You want me to jump?
Nope. No, you can jump in.
I don't think he changes anything with the lines, to be honest with you. I think the way, and that's kind of surprising to say because all year he's been switching things, but no major changes, I don't think. And then Brazo, the chances, I would say 65%, more than likely.
What about sliding JVR in there?
Who would you take out?
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Like you're not gonna take out Freddie. You're not gonna. Maybe Maroon? You take out. See, but no, Maroon. That fourth line, I don't want to touch. So
yeah, that's true.
Like you're not gonna take out Frederick. You're not gonna take out Heinen. You're not gonna take out JD. Obviously.
Well, what if they took out? Oh, I was just praising him. Yeah, maybe they don't. I was saying they could take out Boqvist and move Heinen to that fourth line and put in JVR, but no, Boqvist has been playing well as well. Yeah, maybe they don't do anything with the lines. Obviously they're going to have to do something defensively with Andrew Peak out. Is Wotherspoon now going to play?
I hope so, dude. I want to see Wotherspoon. The big fear is Derek Forbert is skating and playing. I don't.
He's always looming, dude.
Please. And listen, I would love a Derek Forbert resurgence. That would be fun and entertaining to watch. But like, the chances of that are so slim. So yeah, don't.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. How do you feel though about Mason Lohrei? Because I know that they called him up, but he has torched the Maple Leafs this year. I think he has two assists in 2 games. He's like a +2 or some shit. But I mean, the playoffs are a different beast. Yeah.
Before we really dive into that, I might as well jump into this next question. It comes in from Buzzy on Twitter at Boston Bruins. Mason Lohrei, question mark. So take it away, baby.
I wouldn't turn to him just yet. Oh shit. No, I don't think I would turn to him just yet. I mean, playoff hockey is a different kind of hockey, and it's not necessarily that I don't think that he's ready. it's almost like I've been talking about Pat Maroon as like a break glass and emergency kind of player. And I almost feel like Mason Lowry, you can kind of put him in that same kind of category on the defensive side. The guy is an offensive juggernaut, but like the Bruins have had some trouble in the playoffs so far, breaking the puck out, making some boneheaded decisions. I don't know if you saw the report card from last game, but Hampus Lindholm was far and away the worst player on the ice. And I
Makes
feel
sense.
like you've had some trouble defensively in the playoffs. I mean, you're playing against, I mean, when William Nylander is back, he had 98 points. So you're playing against 300-point scorers. So that's not even including John Tavares. I mean, this isn't a loaded offensive team. And I feel like injecting a rookie defenseman, kind of throwing him in the fire after not playing professional hockey for a little bit here. He's been down in the AHL or whatever. I don't think that's the smartest choice. And I feel like the right choice would be to call up Wotherspoon. And I mean, Grizzlick has sucked too. Like he hasn't looked great either. So I don't know. I just feel like that. Whoa.
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
I
Keep
just feel
going.
like I just feel like Mason Lowry isn't ready, and I feel like you're not at the position right now where you have to put Mason Lowry out there.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Grizz. We've been saying it all season long. He's a great option in the regular season, but he gets beaten down in the playoffs. I don't know if you saw there was one hit by Ryan Reeves where he actually like he legit pummeled him in the corner, and I didn't know if he was going to get up or not. And it's only game 2, and that's the thing. He takes a beating in the playoffs. In terms of Mason Lowry, I think if you were up 2-0 in the series heading into Toronto, that would have been you would have been more likely to see him in game 3 if you were up 2-0 in the series.
Yeah. And I mean, for Mason Lowry too, I mean, the Bruins lost last game because they had a miscommunication where Austin Matthews squeaked behind your D and on a breakaway, and that's why you lost. They lost 3-2. And Mason Lowry is a wonder kid offensively. He's unbelievable with the puck on his stick, but like the defensive zone and defensively has been a problem. And we know that's a problem. And it's a part of his game that he's working on to develop. That's fine if you want to call him up and use him in the regular season, but when you're in the playoffs, series is tied 1-1 going into Toronto. The Bruins, they can't drop these 2 games. They can't go down in this series 3-1. And you want to throw Mason Lowry into that situation. I feel like you're just kind of you're truly throwing him to the wolves. Like that's not, I don't think that's a good environment for him to get his feet wet in what is playoff hockey, because he's played, a good handful of games in the regular season, but every NHL player will tell you playoff hockey is an entirely different piece. It's a different style of hockey. And like you said, if the Bruins are in a position where they can be a little more flexible defensively in terms of their personnel, yeah, then I think it makes sense to use Lowry, especially in a pinch now with Peak being hurt. But when you need to turn to your defenseman and really call somebody up here because you're down one of your top 6 guys, I just don't think it makes sense to put Lowry in that position right now.
Yeah, I'm completely with you with that one. So shout out Buzzy. This next question comes in from Frederick for MVP at Frederick_MVP. They said, is Forbert ready, and will he take Peak's role, or is Wotherspoon typecast to join the best of 5 series? I say Wotherspoon.
Yeah, I'm Wotherspoon too. I don't want to see Forbert play ever again.
Yeah. And in parentheses, they also said Mel better eat his Lucky Charms for game 3.
I do
don't
love
get
Lucky
it.
I No,
I
I
don't
don't get
understand.
it either. I don't
All
know.
right, but big Lucky Charms guy though.
I guess, yeah.
All right, so let's see. Next few here. This one comes in from our boy Johnny D. Shout out Johnny, at that Johnny D. He said Linus was ace, but should Jim Montgomery stay with Sway? Beaslett, TMO off the hook. Toronto's D-men have been turning radius of a large yacht, pucks in deep, and force the buggers to turn. And I say this, Austin Matthews will always try a ladies locked car door. Put that in your pipe.
Oh,
So yeah, I
Austin
think he's
Matthews,
basically,
known piece of shit.
yeah, I think he's just saying dump the puck and wear out the D, which you honestly, you saw a lot of that in game 2 because they were really clogging up the neutral zone. Also, no Willie Nylander. No news on him either, dude.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
I have zero clue. No
Listen,
idea.
I don't want to throw any theories out there, but I did see his
Uh-oh.
very lackadaisical effort in game 82. The
Mm-hmm.
guy was hardly trying at all. There was a sequence where he was literally attacking the puck carrier with one hand on his stick. The puck carrier lost the puck. It was a defenseman skating backwards. He was forechecking. He
Yeah.
lost the puck between his feet, and Nylander like looked at the puck and then turned and like glided off the ice. It was the most embarrassing lack of effort I've ever seen. That was game 82. Hasn't been confirmed, but I also saw that he was late for practice before game
Oh,
1 of the playoffs. Again, unconfirmed report. So take this with a grain of salt, but I wonder if maybe there was something there and this is a little bit of discipline. If that's the case, what a boneheaded decision by Toronto. The guy had 98 points. You can't score in game 1 and you're leaving, your back-to-back 40 goal scorer on the sidelines because he showed up late to practice. And I understand discipline if that's what this came to. But I don't know. That's why I'm thinking maybe he could be injured. Maybe there is something going on. I don't recall seeing him on the injury report. I did see him skating in the optional skate before game 2, and he looked fine. So I don't know what's going on. It's a bit weird, and it seems like Toronto fans don't know what's going on either because I've seen them be just as perplexed as we are.
yeah. Here, I wanted to. Oops. I want to pull it up for the people on YouTube because I have it right here. This is the play that we are talking about and that Mel just brought up about Nylander in game 82. Let me pull it up really quick so that it's here. Okay, bingo, bango. Can you see that, Mel?
I sure can.
All right, cool. So this is the play we're talking about right here. So starts here in Tampa.
But this
Puck
is
comes up. He just swings at
reprehensible.
it.
I know it's a meaningless game.
Does nothing. Skates by the puck
That is
and then goes to the bench.
unbelievable.
And then breakaway
Wide
for
open
Tampa and they
thing.
score.
I forgot they scored.
I love it.
Like if you're that might be it. And then he's late for practice game 1. Honestly, I know you said like how much of a bonehead decision that is for Toronto. And yeah, I mean, if Pasta did that, I would understand that perspective too. But also, you got to hold him accountable. Like you have to. But that's why it makes it weird that he wasn't in for game 2 either. Like you would have thought like game 1, maybe like, yeah, give him a slap on the wrist for that. But the fact that he was out for game 2 also was strange.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, I know they won game 2, but they definitely could have used him there as well. I mean, he's a dynamic player. I mean, we already mentioned back-to-back 40-goal seasons, 98 points this year. I have no idea why he's not playing. So he also just signed a huge deal as well. So like, it's not like I don't know. I really don't know what it could be. If it was a lack of effort, discipline thing, or an injury thing. I mean, that sucks. I'm interested to see if he plays game 3. And I mean, while we're on the topic of Maple Leafs personnel, boy, do I miss Nazem Kadri, huh? I mean, he just had a habit of just putting the Maple Leafs in a horrible. It seemed like every single time the Bruins beat the Maple Leafs in the playoffs, it was because Kadri got some misconduct or he was tossed from some game, and he swung momentum towards the Bruins side for some dirty play. And I had shades of Nazem Kadri in game 1 when Domi kind of took that spot and got a couple of penalties and was fueling the Bruins in game 2. I thought maybe that's going to be Bertuzzi today because then he was doing some of the same shit. But no, I mean, I don't know, man. I hate the Maple Leafs so much. And nothing brings me more joy. Like, you have no idea how badly I mean, I'm sure you do. Every Bruins fan wants it, but I want to beat them so badly. And when the Bruins lost game 2, I was more upset that the Bruins lost game 2, not so much because now the series is tied 1-1 going to Toronto, is because that Twitter account, how many days since the Leafs won the Stanley Cup, their third thing was, it's been 529 days since the Maple Leafs have beaten the Bruins. And they added that to their thing, and they've been tweeting that every single day. And, now the Leafs beat the Bruins the other day for the first time in a year and a half. So that kind of sucks. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's been a fun series so far.
Yeah, it's gonna go 7. I swear.
One other bone to pick is the Celtics are also in the playoffs right now, and they're playing the Miami Heat. They beat the shit out of them game 1, and it was perfect because Bruins game 1 was on Saturday, Celtics game 1 was on Sunday. Bruins game 2 was on Tuesday. Take a guess when Celtics game 2 is.
Tomorrow, tonight, Wednesday.
It is Wednesday night,
Yeah.
7:00, the exact same time as the Bruins. So you would think that they would keep going like 1-2, like this alternate schedule. No, they switched. They took 2 days off. So game 2 for the Celtics is the exact same time as game 3 for the Bruins. And to make it even worse, the Bruins have an extra day off. So game 4 is Saturday night. So do the Celtics. They also have an extra day off. So game 3 for the Celtics is Saturday night. So we're just
Split
kind of getting
screen.
boned here. Yeah, it's a pain in
split
the
screen.
ass.
But shout out Johnny. I want to give a shout out to Ollie King as well. He came in and he said peak injury potential affecting the series. It's gonna be big. I mean, Peak has been nothing but sturdy and good since he's gotten here. And he's a big part of that third pairing with Shattenkirk. So it's definitely gonna hurt. But I mean, Wotherspoon is more than capable of coming in and playing that gritty kind of game. But Peak, he's week to week too. I mean, who knows if we move on from this series, he might not even be ready for the next series. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But we touched on the USA chant. We touched on Forbert and Peak. And yeah, so that's it for the Twitter DMs. Trying to think here. I think that's really it for this episode. Heading back to Toronto is going to be big. 2 big games coming up. You can't afford to lose both in Toronto. That's just not ideal. But that being said, we usually do game predictions. So, like you said, tomorrow or tonight, rather, when this drops and you're listening, is game 3, 7:00 in Toronto. Mel, what is your prediction for game 3?
Swayman's back in net.
Yeah.
Wotherspoon's playing D.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Brazeau's not in the lineup just yet.
Okay.
4-3 win for the Bruins.
Overtime or regulation?
Game. Regulation, I think the Bruins are going to be up. I think the Bruins are going to be down 2-1.
Okay.
Before going up 4-2. Maple Leafs are going to make it 4-3 with about 10 minutes left in the third. And then the Bruins are going to hold them off. They're not going to choke under pressure.
That sounded prophetic. I hope that I hope it plays out just like that.
I'm at my Oracle. I have my little crystal ball here. I rubbed it, and that's what it said to me.
All right. Gee, clip that. I'm going to say game 3 is going to go to overtime. I'm going to say I like your pick, dude, but I'm going to say 5-4 Bruins overtime. And Jesper Boqvist gets the overtime winner.
5-4. We're talking about a goal factory. That would be
Goal
a very
fest. Well,
hang on. Never mind.
I'm going to change mine to 3-2 overtime. Because if Swayman's in net, he's gonna. No, they're in Toronto. I'm sticking with my original 5-4 overtime. Boqvist with the winner.
Okay, I like it. Boy, 4 goals on Swayman. You don't trust him or something? What's up with that?
Listen, I trust him, but I feel like into Toronto, into enemy territory, I think it's going to be a goal fest.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's in Toronto, so there's going to be some power plays coming. But
yeah.
Game 4, me and you have the Leafs, me and you have the Bruins up 2-1 in the series. Game 4 prediction.
I'm gonna say another 3-2 win for Toronto. I think. Sorry, you say yours first.
No, you go. I want you to explain.
I was gonna say, I think you might get another. Oh man, that's tough. I think Olmark is probably going to play well again, but I mean, the Bruins can't just get rid of the problems they had last game overnight. And I think it's going to be really hard to win both games in Toronto. If they win game 1, I think they turn to Olmark game 2. And they lose 3-2. But let me ask you a question before you say yours.
Okay.
Say Swayman gives up 1 goal next game, or he gets a shutout. Do they ride Swayman game 4, or do they still go back to Olmark for game 4? This is what makes me happy that I'm not like a coach. I'm not involved in the
know.
process because I have no idea.
My gut says yes. Go Swayman again, and then give Olmark game 5 at home.
Do you fear though that could kind of mess up the mojo that they've had so far?
No, I don't.
Because I mean, if Swayman plays really again, if Swayman gives up 1 goal or has a shutout in game 3, and you keep him for game 4, then why didn't you just ride Swayman for game 2 as well?
I know.
Oh man, it's so hard. Oh.
But dude, it's not like either of them didn't play like
Yeah,
2
no,
straight
they both
games throughout
played
the
well,
season.
yeah.
And that too. Like, I'm so glad I don't have to make this call. If I was Jim Montgomery, dude, in between game 1 and game 2, trying to pick a starter, I probably wouldn't have even been able to sleep because I would have slept hoping that I had have you ever seen the Simpsons movie?
Yeah, of course.
Remember when Homer is asleep and he has a dream of the Native American woman and she's like swinging her boobs in the direction of where to go? If I was Jim Montgomery, if I was Jim Montgomery, I would have hoped that I had one of those dreams where it's like, where it's like, let me explain, where it's like the same kind of dream, but now imagine Happy Gilmore when Chubbs and the alligator are all waving at him above the house. I imagine Jim Montgomery having that dream, and he's like on the garden ice in the crease looking up into the banners, and he sees I don't know, Jerry Cheevers, Andy Moog, and I know they're not past, but just saying Tim Thomas, Tuca's up there, and they all point and they just point to the goalie to pick.
Oh my god, it's why couldn't you just say that? Where did the lady who's swinging her boobs from the Simpsons movie come in?
Because I initially thought of that dream, and then I thought of Happy Gilmore, and that one made way more sense.
Oh my god, dude! I was gonna say, at least for the Bruins, they have to decide between these 2 all-world goalies. The Maple Leafs, they just have to say, we'll roll out Samsonov. There's nothing else we can do. Oh my god,
that might play to their advantage a little bit too. But my game 4 prediction, if they go Olmark, I'm gonna say 4-1 win Toronto. And all of a sudden it's like, fuck,
what's your problem, dude?
I don't have a problem.
You have Swayman giving up 4 goals. You have the Bruins losing 4-1 with all. Are you with Boosie? Are you saying Leafs in 6?
No.
I don't know, man.
This series could go either way. Could go either way. But I'd still say Bees in 7. That's been my prediction since the beginning. This series is gonna go 7, and that scares me.
Can I ask you a non-Bruins related question?
Sure. Is it about maps?
No. It's hockey related.
Okay.
Where do you stand, and how do you feel about this Mark Stone situation in Vegas and the whole long-term IR thing?
How funny is it that he opened up the scoring for Vegas?
No. Hang on. For those of you who might not be aware, let me paint a picture for you.
Yeah, give us some background.
3 years ago, Mark Stone got injured. He got injured in February, about a week before the trade deadline. He has a big contract. I think he's making just under $8 million a year. Big contract. He gets hurt. So they say, okay, we're going to put you on the long-term IR. The way that the NHL works is there's no salary cap in the playoffs. So when you put somebody in the long-term IR, that frees up their cap hit, and you can use that money to then go out and sign players because they're not on your books the rest of the regular season. So what did they do? They traded for Jack Eichel, who could only fit on their contract, on their books, because they could put Mark Stone's contract on the long-term IR. And he was hurt. Mark Stone was hurt. So I get it. It's fine. They get to the playoffs. April rolls around. Right before the playoffs start, they activate Mark Stone. So now they're $7.5 million over the salary cap. But like I said, there's no salary cap in the playoffs. So they can play with this star-studded team that's bursting money at the seams because of the way that the NHL works. And they went on to win the Stanley Cup. Last year, Mark Stone gets hurt again in February. The same week that he got hurt last year, or sorry, the season prior. So this is now 2 years in a row he's gotten hurt the second week of February. So they put him on the long-term IR again. And I don't know what moves they made last year, but they used that money. The playoffs come around, and again, the third week of April, they activated him for the long-term IR. This is now the second year in a row. He's gotten hurt in February. He's gotten put on the long-term IR, and he's been activated right before game one of the playoffs. What happened this year? Mark Stone gets hurt the second week of February.
His internal organ.
They put him on the long-term IR. They use that money, since it's now off the books, to get Noah Hannafin and Tomas Hertl. They play the rest of the regular season, and now for the third year in a row, Mark Stone has been activated the second week of April, right before game one. So quite literally, 3 years in a row, Mark Stone has gotten hurt 2 weeks into February. 3 years in a row, he was put on the long-term IR. 3 years in a row, they used his now removed salary to add to their roster. And then now 3 years in a row, he's been reactivated the second week of April, right before game one. And wouldn't you know it, he scored 2 minutes into game one, assisted by Noah Hannafin. That is so fish. Come on. Like, that reeks of bullshit. Like, I never want to, like, doubt a guy's injury, and I'm not doubting that he was hurt, but, like, that's a little sus. Like, come on.
It's fishy. But what I've always said about it is they're not breaking any rules. Like, the NHL has it implemented into their rules book, rules, whatever, and they're not breaking it. It's very odd that it's consistently Mark Stone and it's consistently him coming back for game one of the playoffs. Yeah. Do I like it? No. Can I get mad about it? Also no, because I mean, they're not breaking any rules. If anything, if there's anybody to be mad at, in my opinion, it's the league. Like, fix it. Like, you can't, like, you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That's where I stand.
I think where it pisses me off is that it's like such an obvious FU. I feel like that Vegas is doing, and there's definitely frustration to be shared at the league, but the fact that this rule is in place, and again, this is like just my opinion, my speculation. There's no proof anywhere that this is them like circumnavigating the cap or whatever. Yeah, your hands up.
Before we're not doubting his injury either. Like, he was definitely hurt. It's just so odd that it's him every single year.
It just raises some eyebrows. And I think that's the point for me, is that this rule is in place. Really, not many teams take advantage of it. The very famous case is how the Lightning did it with Kucherov. And again, like, when I say did it, like, Kucherov was hurt. This is just like the fan talk. I mean, it was bullshit. But I feel like it's almost like it kind of reeks of arrogance when it's the exact same player 3 years in a row. You then use his cap hit to then every single year trade for a bona fide. They've traded for 3 superstars using the same method, and then they reactivate him. Like, Mark Stone, not only did he have a goal last night, he played over 30 minutes. He had the second most amount of minutes for Vegas after not playing hockey for 3.5 months. This guy was so hurt, he was on the long-term IR. And again, I'm not doubting his injury. I'm just saying, when the exact same thing happens 3 years in a row, it's the same franchise. They've immediately taken advantage of his salary being off their books by going out and making these huge deals. it's a little fishy, and it just feels like Vegas is like look like it's like I don't want to say like an unwritten rule, but I feel like this rule is in place for a reason. Teams can take advantage of it. They choose not to because it's not the right thing to do. And then you have Vegas, like screw it. And again,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to listen to this and think that like I'm doubting Mark Stone's injury. I know it probably sounds exactly like that. It's just the fan in me, and it's what I've been seeing a lot of people saying on Twitter. It looks a little suspicious when for 3 years in a row the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights has gotten hurt the second week of February. He's been put on the long-term IR the third week of February. They've used that dead cap to now sign players, and he's been reactivated the second week of April. 3 years in a row. It's a little weird in my opinion. That's my stance on it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I do think that there's some shenanigans going on, and there has been, and the league has just done nothing about it. I don't know what they could do to kind of alleviate that.
They should, without a doubt, I feel like remove the rule that there's no salary cap in the playoffs. Like that's that should be a no-brainer. I don't understand why that rule is even in place.
Yeah.
I feel like they had good intentions when they had the rule, but I feel like they didn't expect teams to exploit it, like in the way that Vegas could potentially be doing it, the way that Tampa has in the past. Like I
think it's Colorado this year. I think they're using $7.5 million too.
Yeah, but that's also like Landeskog hasn't
he's
like
not.
he's not even playing in the playoff. Yeah, he's not even playing. So
like they're using it the way that it was intended to be used.
Yeah, and like that's when it makes sense, and that's why like it's hard because like as the league, what do? Are you really gonna go to Vegas and say you're lying? Mark Stone isn't hurt. Like they can't do that. But if they can find proof that like that is what Vegas is doing, oh my god! I mean, talk about the hammer of all penalties that would be coming their way.
Oh yeah. Talking about like forfeiting first round picks, a money fine, like everything under the sun. You would hope, but
yeah, I'm interested to see next year if he makes it 4 years in a row. If Vegas does it 4 years in a row.
Yeah. Should we pick a what was the segment that we did? The dog of the week? Should we pick a dog of the first 2 games of the series?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Coyotes.
My dog. Oh man.
I have 2 potentials.
All right, go with yours first. I'm still thinking.
You want to go first?
No, I'll give you mine. My dog of the week is, hang on, I want to see what his stats were in game 1.
I think I know who you're going to pick. And if you pick this guy, I'll go with the other guy that I was thinking.
My dog of the week, a big reason why I feel like the Bruins lost game 2 was because of the sheer domination in the faceoff dot by the Toronto Maple Leafs. And John Beecher played well, but my dog of the week, I'm going to give it to Pavel Zacha. Shadow Laura. I thought he played well in game 1, but what really stuck out was his 77% faceoff percentage in the dot, 10 wins against 3 losses. He was one of 2 centers to be over 50%. John Beecher was at 60%, sorry. And he followed that up game 2 with a 53% winning percentage in the dot, which was the highest on the Bruins other than John Beecher, who was 4 for 5 in the dot. But he also had that amazing spinorama pass to set up Pasta. He's been playing well on both ends of the ice. He's been very active. He's also logging almost 18 minutes. So I'm going to give him my dog of the week. And here was my issue when I was trying to come up with my dog of the week. There were plenty of players who played well in game 1 who sucked in game 2. And there were players who played well in game 2 who kind of stunk in game 1. I feel like Pavel Zacha played well in game 1 and he played great in game 2. And that was my reasoning why I'm giving him my dog of the week.
I just thought of someone else too. I'm going to have to make up this decision in the moment. You know what? Yeah, my dog of the week, Mel. Undefeated against the Maple Leafs, shows up in game 1 and just slams the door shut. A spectacular performance by the man. Celine Dion famously called Bulldog, and that is Mr. Jeremy Swayman, the Bulldog himself. Jeremy Swayman is my dog of the week. But yeah, that just about does it for episode 89 of the Something's Brewing podcast, with a new improvised intro that we had in the beginning.
That was beautiful. I loved it.
I don't even remember
I thought,
what I said.
well, the best part was like whenever we do these recordings, like sometimes you'll do the intro multiple times because I'm making a face or whatever, or you start laughing, and it takes us a little while to get going. And that
Yeah,
one, I didn't know if we were gonna keep it or not. So like I was about to like say something stupid or I don't know, make some sort of noise to make you laugh or distract you. We just kept going with it. So I'm happy I was able to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I said, dude. When I listen back to it, I'm either gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of good," or I'm gonna be like, "What am I doing?" So we'll see.
I just remembered that it rhymed. I don't remember what you said though.
I remember that it rhymed, so we'll see. But yeah, heading to Toronto, tied 1-1 in the series. The game 3 is tonight. If you're listening on drop day Wednesday, the game is tonight. Game 3, probably Swayman in net. If it divvies away from Swayman, I would be very surprised. But I mean, fuck, we already got a tough series, hard hitting series. Reeves versus Maroon, Domi versus Marchand, Johnny Beecher hot as hell, Jesper Boqvist hot as hell in a big game 3. Big game 3. Got to get this win. You don't want to be down 2-1 in the series and then have to play another game in Toronto, because then if you lose game 3, game 4 is a must win. I don't care. You can't go down 3-1. Whoa. And that's it, really. So game 3, I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I have the day off from work, so all day I'm just going to be pacing around the apartment, just waiting for the game to start.
Hell yeah.
But hey, episode 89 of the Something's Brewing podcast, as always, brought to you in partnership with the one and only Primetime Productions. Give them a follow on Twitter at PrimetimeProds for all articles, all podcasts, merch. It's all on the site that Mel set up. Go give that bad boy a check, a look, whatever you want to call it. Give our podcast Twitter account a follow at Bruin Something. And I'm making this promise to you all right now. This episode will be live on YouTube tomorrow afternoon at the latest. Give that YouTube channel a follow at Something's Bruin on Twitter, on YouTube. I can't talk. You'll find very sporadically posted episodes. We have like episode 12, episode 45, episode 72. It makes no sense. There's no consistency, but that's all going to change with this episode. So this one will, I promise, be up on YouTube tomorrow for sure. So go check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. If you listen to the podcast right now and you're not subscribed, hello, come on. What are we doing? Let's go. We need the squad here. We need everybody here. We're all on the same team. So it's a perfect time to subscribe to the podcast. Give it a rating. Give it a 5-star review if you want. And that's really it. You can give myself a follow on Twitter at _Mike Sullivan, and you can give Mel a follow on Twitter at Nick Melanson _. He is now not private, so he can get his posts retweeted.
Yeah.
And with that being said, episode 89 of the Something's Brewing podcast. We'll catch you in Toronto.
Bye.